Hello, my name is Tom Singer. This is Concert Cues for the Billings Symphony Orchestra and Chorale. And today we're doing one of our Sukin series concerts, a guitar concert with our two featured artists who are Arturo, Castro, Nogueras, and Mircea, Gogoncea.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I'm going to learn a lot of languages if I do this job out.
This is better than 99.9% of times my name has been spoken, so it's wonderful.
I'm honored. So, welcome to Billings. And this is a sort of a unique gift. You guys really are from all over the world. And I sort of want to start with that discussion because the concert's got that label. But I was astonished by the amount of geography that the two of you have covered.
Right.
So tell me, let's start with you, Arturo. Where were you born? Where's your family from, and where are you now?
I was born in Mexico, and I was raised in Puerto Rico, and now I live in Germany. Now my father is Cuban, my mother is half Mexican, half Puerto Rican, and it's an interesting mixture, especially in Latin America, but now mixing in a little bit of Europe, definitely. Yeah.
And Mircea?
Yeah, I was born in Romania, from a Romanian family basically, but I moved away to Germany when I was 17. And I stayed there for so long that I became German. I have German citizenship now, double citizenship, Romanian and German actually. And I also studied in the UK, and now I am in Los Angeles. I'm married to an American woman. So it's also a really big mix of nationalities and places to live. I have 4 homes: Bucharest, Düsseldorf in Germany, London, and Los Angeles. So and now I'm in Montana for the first time ever, which is really exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a big world. Somehow the two of you ran into each other. I'm curious where that happened.
In Germany.
Yeah.
In Düsseldorf.
We were both studying with the same professor in Düsseldorf, Germany, and I think he came 2 years after I got there, something like that. Yeah.
And which professor was that?
His name is Joaquin Clerch, and he's Cuban as well as his dad. and you know, in the music world, most of the times when you move to a different country to study with somebody, you are chasing a teacher, not an institution. Although institutions can be great. And so for us, you know, we just really wanted to study with this artist. You know, he was, for me personally, on my first spot in the mental list of possible teachers I would like to study with. So.
For me as well.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's one of the best guitar teachers in the world. That's why, had he not lived in Düsseldorf, I would have been in Beijing, Madrid, or London.
Yeah, I would have just tried to go there where we could get to study with the person we wanted to study with.
And is he still in Düsseldorf?
Yeah.
And take it you both think of him as one of your mentors.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
So you meet with the same teacher. What is it that prompts you to turn it into a duo? Why did the two of you decide that you want to do these gigs as a team?
I think it's twofold. The answer is twofold.
Yeah, definitely.
First of all, I think our values in life and just outlook on life are very similar. And secondly, we just loved each other's playing. I remember when I first listened to you live, you were playing the Sonata by Sohr.
Oh yeah.
Which, you know, it's simple classical era music, but it's just so beautiful, and I recognize a sort of deep musicality that is really rare and unique. And I from that point on, I knew that if I could, I would work with him. You know,
it's completely mutual. You know, it's like when I've heard Mircea. The thing is that Mircea has been known in the guitar world since you were like 5 or 6.
Child, I started very early.
Yeah, and then I remember watching his videos, and then eventually we met, as classmates. But
you watched my videos before?
Of course.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Of course. I have this video playing at 13.
What other secrets can we uncover?
But then one of the things that I believe that it's how it started playing together. It's that we wanted to travel as well. So we were doing these road trips in the Balkans or this other project in Nigeria where we played together, and it was fun, and it was, it worked.
Yeah. So we were friends first before we were a duo, and he spent Christmas in Romania one year, and he was already familiar with Balkan culture, right? So we decided that we wanted to do a sort of tour through the Balkans to know the area better. And so we put on this crazy tour with driving around in a rental car, playing in these incredible halls. That's what prompted it, right? We had this concert in Albania in a Roman amphitheater. Our warm-up rooms were the caverns where the gladiators would be preparing for battle. So it was incredible, right? But we did more. We played on beaches. We played in big concert halls in Serbia, in really traditional concert halls. Anything from
the street as well.
Yeah, in the street.
In Mostar.
From the most sort of typically classical, big concert hall with audiences sitting down and not clapping between the movements, to literally a beach, right? Yeah. And we love that about music. We love getting our inspiration in both the classical and the non-classical world, and also just bringing music to places where maybe it doesn't normally exist.
Yeah.
I hope you don't think of Billings as one of those.
No,
no, of course not. Imagine what you have here is amazing.
So, looking at the program for Thursday, it looks like you're kind of recreating that. You're beginning and ending with Balkan music, right?
Well, there is a new order. I'm not sure if you've seen the new program. There's some extra restrictions because of the live stream. So we've had to change some things around just to get getting the live streaming rights is slightly different than getting the concert. So there's a slightly different order. We're actually going to start with a piece by a Spanish composer, Fernando Sor, in the new order. But yeah, that's the idea, that we group them geographically rather than by period, right? And that we basically show a little sample of dances and songs from around the world.
Yeah.
And at least one of the pieces is called Popular Dances, if my translation guess is close.
Yeah.
So is this music that's been transposed for the guitar that's basically some kind of folk music or something like that?
So the one that has popular in the name is a suite of Romanian dances from my home country. Well, there's also, you're playing popular music too. It doesn't have popular in the title, right? The only one that has popular dance in the title is the Romanian suite. And that was written for violin and piano by this Romanian composer in the early 20th century, very early 20th century. And that was basically also just a collection of dances transcribed for a classical setting. And we then took that and transcribed it for guitar from the original piano and violin score. And actually, interestingly enough, the composer's grandson, I don't know if you know this, the composer's grandson was the principal of my high school when I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the old small world.
They're all musicians. So
The principal's a musician too?
Yes. Well, it was a music high school. So absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. So Arturo said something about you that I hadn't realized. You developed some fame by the time you were 5 in the guitar world.
Well, I started when I was 4. I wouldn't say that I had any fame when I was 5.
Inside the guitar world,
you
were known, no? Your videos were watched at least, no?
Okay, by the time that I was a teenager, yes.
Okay.
At 13, 14, maybe, not at 5. At 5, it was just a novelty. It was a kid playing on a table. My first ever competition, I don't know if I told you this. The jury table was so big that they couldn't see me, because I was a 5-year-old. So they ended up putting the chair on the table. And that was my first ever public performance. I don't remember any of this. I've been told this. I have no memory of it.
So when did you start playing?
My parents are musicians. I started like at age 1 or so, or even earlier. My mom, they both played the piano. So my mom was pregnant, and they continued practicing. So I've been in music my whole life, but I started actually with the piano and the cello. And then we moved to Puerto Rico to the countryside, and there were no cello teachers there. So I had to switch, continued with the piano, then a little bit later with the oboe. And then eventually I found the guitar, and it was the instrument I thought, like, yeah, this is it. I love this.
And you would call it what you play classical guitar, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if I gave you a Fender and asked you to play Jimi Hendrix, would you say not worth my time?
No, not at all. No. I started actually with electric guitar as well. I wanted to piss off my parents a little bit, because being the classical musicians, they were classical music the whole day. So I wanted to do something different. Then my brother played the drums, and we were playing them. But what I love about the guitar is that it's an inclusive instrument. You know, it doesn't matter what you play. It's an instrument that you can find in probably one of the the smallest and creepiest bars and big concert halls like the Segovia concerts where you had like people sitting all over the stage, and he played like 10 encores afterwards. Yeah. So the guitar is this. It's an open instrument that you can find everywhere, and you can play so much music. And that's also a bit of the point of what we do, that it's the first part is this piece by Sor it's classical music, even though it has a Spanish dance there. It's considered more like classical music in this style and everything, but the thing that you can do both, and you can do all this range of music in the same instrument without ever feeling like you're out of.
Exactly. It's tempting to think of classical music as sort of separate from the world, but it never was.
Exactly.
At no point in its history was it separated, or should it be completely separated from any other genre. And we have classical training. That's what we got. We started as children. We didn't really choose that we were going to have this training, but now we have these tools, we have this technique, and we have this understanding of music through classical music. And what we do in general, both of us, this is where we get to the similar values, right? We use that as a vehicle to also bring, shine a spotlight on other traditions of music that are really valid and wonderful. So we have a lot of dance-inspired music here, but it's still classical music that we're going to be playing. We love jamming. We're not going to jam in the concert too much, but
maybe a little bit with
if my iPad loses power. No, but it's very interesting to us as guitarists. The guitar is basically a national instrument in Spain, in most of Latin America, lots of places in the world, and so we've always been more diverse. And we've sort of been sometimes even less respected because of that as an instrument when it comes to, in comparison to other big classical instruments like the piano or violin. But suddenly now it's trendy to be diverse, which we've always been and loved being, right? So we welcome this. We're like, that's what we're all about. So we're playing music from composers of color. We're playing music from by women. We're actually playing some pieces by my wife as well. And so it's really wonderful, that this is finally something that the rest of the classical music world is waking up to. This is kind of what we've been doing for a long time now.
I agree.
So one of you, I think, Mircea, studied with Scott Tennant.
Oh yeah,
I still do. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing my doctorate right now, DMA. With Scott Tennant in Los Angeles, yeah.
And he was, if I'm remembering right, he's part of the LA Guitar Quartet.
He is, yes. In fact, so both him and Bill Cannongeiser, another teacher at the university, are members of the LA Guitar Quartet. And I don't know if you know this, but they started out as the USC Guitar Quartet because they were studying at University of Southern California at USC. And one of the visiting professors there was Pepe Romero. Pepe Romero is a member of the Los Romeros Quartet, which was, the foremost classical guitar quartet. Some call it the inventor of the classical guitar quartet. And because of the Romeros' influence, USC decided to sponsor a quartet that would, play concerts and get commissions and all of that. And the first ever quartet that they did at USC was had Bill and Scott as one of their founding members. And after a few years, they stopped doing that. And this year, they restarted the USC Guitar Quartet. And I'm in it.
Oh, awesome.
Right, yeah. So
Awesome.
It's wonderful. The old one is definitely not called the USC Guitar Quartet anymore, but the tradition is going to start again. When I graduate, perhaps my place will be taken by others. I'm looking forward to collaborating with them. We actually have a piece that we're premiering by this composer called João Luiz, and it's called Music of the People. And we will premiere it in May at our departmental concert as the re-emergence of the USC Guitar Quartet.
That's a wonderful story. The LA Guitar Quartet has been here in town years ago, and is Scott Tennant the one who wrote the Pumping Nylon?
Pumping Nylon, yes, that is him.
True.
He told me to not come back from Montana without a cowboy hat, and he said that it's a beautiful place. He actually said that he can envision himself living in a more northern place than California at some point in his life. And
Awesome.
I'm very sad that I'm canceling my lesson with him tomorrow. tomorrow because of preparations for the concert. But he's definitely a very active presence in my life.
Yeah.
Right, I see.
That's fun. So I happen to know something about that.
Right.
I don't know as much about what do you do when you're not playing with Mircea?
Well, I love the fact of I can just travel and spread these ideas that we're just talking about. For example, about this inclusiveness of music and the guitar and I love that those are my projects currently. You know, for example, now during the pandemic, there was not much that could be done, so I just tried to find ways of how can we do it. So, for example, I started making concerts for 2 people at the same time, and then repeat that several times in that day or several days, or because it was for me the idea of live music. It's so important. I mean, even though if we stream it, it's of course it's going to be interesting and everything, but it cannot be just the other thing cannot go away, and this is a new normal. No, we have to continue doing both to whatever extent we can. No. So I started doing this, and actually it started working in Germany. I did it several times. I did it now in Mexico, in Puerto Rico. I'm going to do it as I come back, and I'm probably going to go to Colombia now to do the same thing. So I'm just moving around and trying to spread this idea, because I feel sometimes that there is so much. We get bombarded by all these negative things. That with music is just completely the opposite when we do this. No, we touch feelings, we connect, we create, and that's actually what drives me to do all this. No, so it's a shame that we actually wanted to do a larger tour now with in all US. Unfortunately, we have to postpone it.
But this is our first concert from before the pandemic, because we did book this before the pandemic. That was not canceled.
Yeah.
So. We are in the classical world. We sometimes have concerts booked in advance for 1, 2, 3 years ahead. And this was, I think we finalized the date for this in January 2020 or around that time.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know that stuff was going to get canceled, and we just missed it. We were just able to do this. Probably if it had been planned for a couple of months earlier, it would not have worked. So
We just started redoing them 2 weeks ago. So.
Incredible. I'm just incredibly.
That's why we're so happy to be here and to do this. It's a great opportunity, no?
Yeah, that's very fun. So you intrigued me when you talked about, I'm not sure you called it this, but improvisation.
Improvisation. Yes, I said jamming.
That's what you said. I put the wrong twist on it.
No, that's the official word. I was the one using the slang.
But the last concert we had, we were with Mozart, and we've had concerts years ago where pianists who specialized in Mozart took over the improvisational portions that he did, and so the improvisational component of classical music is fascinating to me, because we don't think about it that way. It's all on the page. It's all on the page. So, are you going to do some jamming, and why or why not?
Well, we're gonna jam tonight. Yeah. We have a small event happening tonight where we'll be playing a couple of improvised pieces too, in addition to our regular program. But in the concert itself, I think the closest we will get is the arrangements that we made.
Yeah. And with the Romanian thing. Actually the Balkan stuff, no?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So we are playing some Balkan music, and Balkan music is, like all oral traditions, not normally written down. And we are working off of scores, but we are making some pretty massive changes in the music itself. The reason why I'm hesitant to call it improvisation is that we kind of know what these changes are, more or less. They do end up slightly different every time, because there's so many ornaments that we do improvise on them. So I would say we improvise the ornaments. Yeah. We make changes to the score to reflect, we think more authentically reflect the tradition that it's paying homage to. And then we have some of our pieces that we've transcribed ourselves for our solo or duo pieces, where we have a lot more say into what is actually being played rather than just how it is being played. So I think would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, same thing with I'm going to play a Paraguayan piece. That the same thing. It's a popular dance, and sometimes I just change things depending on how it's working in that moment. But I wouldn't call it either improvisation, because even though I can change some things, it's not like actively gonna improvise on top of
Right.
a melodic
Right.
line or something
Right.
like that. No?
Right.
And it's also important to know that when you talk of improvisation, even in the most improvised genres that exist, such as jazz, you can still, people still generally have a lot of licks and things that they're practicing, and they put those together in new ways, and they change them in new ways, right? It's not like somebody who comes from that tradition would automatically just sort of sit down and make up a whole new thing that they haven't thought about at all in the past, right? That's not what improvisation is. So in a way, what we're describing here, is on the scale, on the spectrum of what it means to improvise. It's rather on the low end, but it is on the spectrum, right?
Exactly.
And this is probably an unfair question in some respect, but of the pieces that you're playing for the concert, what's your favorite?
Well, it's complicated because I love Balkan music, so that's why we have a big part of the program is that. It reminds me of that trip. I also have been there many times, and so of course, and playing with a guy from the Balkans, I love how it sounds, no.
Right.
But of course, on the other hand, Latin American music, it's my home, no, and I'm gonna play.
So it
things
is an
with-
unfair question. All right.
Yeah, definitely. It's difficult to. Maybe what would you say? Maybe the Romanian pieces.
Maybe Ashley's piece.
Yeah,
You can't ask this question of a man who's playing
It
his
gets more
wife's
complicated.
And what is your wife's name?
Ashley Lucero.
Okay.
She's actually with me here on the trip, and we'll be playing two
fantastic
one as a
piece,
duo and one as a solo. I'm going to be playing one of her pieces.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'm very much looking forward to this. This has been a great pleasure talking to you. You've obviously had some fun with it too, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you, and we'll see you at the symphony.
Awesome. Thank you so
See you
much.
there. Thank you so much.